Hey, I'm Cameron McKenzie at CameronMCNZ on Twitter, and I wanted to talk to you about how you can install Ubuntu 20 on VMWare Player in less than 5 minutes. Even if you're working primarily in a Windows environment, you should have VMware Workstation Player set up and access to Ubuntu 20. That's the latest long-term support release, also known as Fossa. Now, here's how you do it. You head over to Ubuntu Downloads, and you find the page that allows you to download Ubuntu 20 LTS. You just hammer on that download button, and then you click on the little download now if it doesn't happen, and you notice that a little ISO file gets downloaded. That's the bytecode embodiment, binary embodiment of your Ubuntu desktop. And then at the same time, you want to have VMware Workstation Player. So you just download that here. I've got both of those installed and downloaded. You'll notice that there's my VMware Workstation up here, and there's Ubuntu 20 ISO right there, about 2.7, almost 3 gigs in size. So in order to start working with Ubuntu on your Windows machine, you just start up Windows Workstation Player 16. So I've already kicked off a couple of these virtual images already. You just click on this Create a New Virtual Machine, and then you browse to that ISO file. I always like to put my ISO file in a folder called VMs, LTS 20-4, Long-Term Support 20 Ubuntu. There it is right there. You just click on the file, and it'll ask you a few questions. Yeah, that'll be the ISO installer. I'm good with that. Click Next. Put in the full name. Let's put in my Twitter handle. And I'm just going to make password the password just to make life easier. I don't need to secure this. And for this virtual machine, I'm just going to call it the base install. And you can copy this virtual machine. So if you want to kind of use this just as a base, that's good. And then you can accept the defaults. Maximum disk size 20. I don't generally go much more than that. You can customize the hardware if you so please. 4 gigs of memory should be good for me. Yeah, maybe give it a extra couple of processors there. So you can do any configuration you want. But then just click Finish, and then the process will run. Now, it'll take a few minutes here. I'm going to close that little help window. But it'll take a few minutes here to run. And then the next step will be logging in and then setting up all of the required updates and all of the basic software. So I'll just let this run, and I'll speed this up with the magic of video editing as it goes to production here, and then it'll get me very, very quickly to the configuration page. Now as the setup is complete, it's time to log in for the first time. Now, when I log in, there's actually going to be a lot of updates to do. I'll maximize the screen here so it looks a little bit more handsome. Log in with authority. And then it gives you the nag screen, hey, you should sign on. I'm going to skip this step, don't need to. I'm going to go to the next step on live patch as well. I'm not going to send system info because I'm in a secure environment. I'm not going to turn on location services, and then I am ready to go. So it takes you to the screen. I like to click done here. But I also like to go in and just take a look at some of the software that's available. Never a bad idea. And really, I always like to install, at the very least, NotePad++. So that's always a good tool to have. I like to start off with a blank, empty environment. But if I'm going to install one thing, that one thing that I'm going to install is NotePad++. Okay, and over here, I'm just going to do a little search. See if I can find Notepad++. There we are right there. And I'm going to allow that to install. And there you go. It's installed. You can take a look at the permissions. I'm going to give it some extra permissions here because I like Notepad++ to be able to do whatever I need it to do. And there we go. Notepad++ is installed. Now here's the other thing. After you've given Ubuntu a little bit of time, it'll tell you that there's a bunch of new software to install. Definitely have to do this. So I'll click Install Now. This will take 10 minutes to finish this part of the install as well, then do a reboot, and then start using Ubuntu. Okay, and once all of the software has finished installing, all we need to do is a quick restart, and then Ubuntu will be ready for our use. Okay, and there we go. We've now got a freshly installed Ubuntu instance. I can log in. Everything looks good to me at this point. Always maximize the screen to get the full effect. That's how you install Ubuntu 20 long-term support release on VMware Workstation. And there you go. That's how easy it is to install Ubuntu with VMware Player on your Windows machine. Now, if you enjoyed this tutorial, why don't you head over to theserverside.com. Got lots of great tutorials on Ubuntu, VMware, Java, enterprise development, DevOps, you name it. If you're interested in my personal antics, you can always follow me on Twitter at CameronMCNZ and subscribe on YouTube.